Why are you nominating for the role of Division Director and why now? Why are you nominating for the role of Division Director and why now?
So I'm applying for or nominating for the role of Division Director because I think that I have some talents that I can bring to the division, and I would like to use it as an opportunity to improve my leadership skills, and I feel that now is an appropriate time for me to do it.
Good. Thank you. What is the Division Council's function? What is the Division Council's function?
So the Division's Council's function is to help the Division Director organise activities and things that are going on in the division and make sure things are covered. So for example, there's a training officer to make sure that training is done and coordinated. We have the Secretary Treasurer to make sure minutes are kept of meetings and that the financial things is kept up to date. And it's too much for one person to do by themselves, but also having a group means that it keeps the honesty open and keeps things transparent.
Thank you. What is the role of the Division Director? What is the role of the Division Director?
So the role of the Division Director is to communicate between Toastmasters International and the Toastmasters clubs and members within the district, to coordinate activities within the district. For example, the district meetings need to be held and the district conference and contests that are held every year.
How will you balance the time between family, work and Toastmasters? How will you balance time between family, work and Toastmasters?
So I guess I'm in a fortunate position that my children are grown up, so I don't have to worry about looking after small children. And that's one of the reasons why I think my time is now appropriate to take on this role. I'm still working full time, but I always manage to cover my current role as area director, and I'm also club roles as well. So I don't foresee that there'll be a great deal of more difficulty in doing the role of division director.
Thank you. How would you deal with conflict between you and another member? How would you deal with conflict between you and another member?
So I think when the situation of conflict comes up, it's always wise to understand what the other person's point of view is and why they disagree with your opinion. So the important thing is to listen to what the other person has to say, not be judgmental about what they're saying, and not try to overtalk people. So often I've heard discussions between people where they're not really listening to what the other person is saying, they're just preparing their next statement and talking over the person. So I think it's important to understand what the issues are, and then I think it's important to try and come to a compromise and work out how you can work through it together to come out with a win-win situation at the end. And I think the important thing is to not lose your cool and lose your temper and get angry with someone.
In a similar vein, if there was conflict between two members of your team, how would you deal with it and maintain freedom of support? If there was a conflict between two members of your team, how would you deal with it and maintain freedom of support?
So I think it's a similar thing, is that it's important to listen to what each person's point of view is. Now, it may be that I may align my opinions more with one person than the other, but I guess if I'm trying to reconcile them and sort out the conflict, I need to remain neutral and allow both persons to have their opinion and their say, and see if we can come to a mutually happy conclusion at the end of our discussions.
Okay. What is the primary role of the area director? What is the primary role of the area director?
So I've heard it said that the area director has to be regarded as the best friend of the clubs. And I think our role as area director is to visit the clubs, support the clubs, encourage them to become involved in different Toastmaster activities such as attending area conferences, speech contests, division conferences, district conferences, and all of the meetings that are there, to encourage them along their Pathways program and with the Distinguished Club program, and just generally do what you can to support the clubs in the manner that you feel everyone feels is needed.
Thank you. Why do we have a district success plan? Why do we have a district success plan?
So it's quite a common aphorism that if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. And having a success plan is more or less a way of planning where you want to go and how you're going to get there. And I think otherwise you'll just flounder along and nothing will change, nothing will succeed, and the whole thing may end up just falling apart completely. So I think it's important to have a look at what your goals are and your aims are and how you plan to get to them.
Okay. How would you go about encouraging all your club officers in the division to attend training? How would you go about encouraging all the club officers in your division to attend training?
Yeah, so this is something I've tried to do in the past, and I know it can be quite difficult to encourage people to come to training. People often have lots of different reasons why they don't wish to go, and sometimes it's not necessarily a case that they don't wish to go, but they're unable to attend or partake in the training at the time that it's put on. And this can be quite difficult in a place like Northern Division, where we have some clubs that are a long way apart, and often it requires a lot of travel to get to it. I think the important thing is to encourage people about what they can obtain from attending training and how it can improve their functioning and understanding of Toastmasters and their club. And now that we have had online training in our District 69, I think it makes it easier, because it means you can do it from your own comfort of your own lounge room and not have to drive a long way to attend training.
Okay, your final question. What is the reason for conducting a division conference? What is the reason for conducting a division conference?
So I think that arguably you could say that one of the main reasons that we have a division conference is to run the next level of our speech contests as they go sort of from the club to the area to the division and then to the district. If it went straight from the area to district, it would be totally cumbersome to try and organise some sort of feasible contest at the district level. So that's one of the prime reasons we have a division conference. But I think there's also a lot of other things to be gained from attending a division conference. One of them, of course, is networking and getting to know Toastmasters throughout the area and making friends with Toastmasters. That's good on a very personal level, but it's also good on a level regarding Toastmasters clubs, because you can see how other people are operating, what things they're doing, what successes they are having, and some of that you can bring back to your own club and think of ways that you can improve yourself. It's also important to have the division council meeting at that particular conference. It's a good opportunity to get people together. I think they're a great idea.
Thank you, Lynne. Would you like to now make a closing statement, please?
Yeah, I certainly will. So what I would like to tell everybody, if you don't already know, that the Northern Division is an extremely large division. In fact, when I looked up Google, I discovered that in area it's larger than most countries in the world. So over such a large area, and to maintain cohesion, it's really important that we maintain good communication lines. So one thing that the COVID-19 pandemic crisis has shown us is how easy it is to maintain contact online. And in fact, I know in my own family, we had a Zoom conference with all the cousins and relatives just recently who live all over Australia. And we all commented, why have we not thought of doing this sort of thing in the past? We've only thought about meeting face to face, which happens rarely. How easy is it to meet online? And I think this is something that's been brought over to the Toastmasters organisation. And it's great that we're now able to have meetings online, and also that training is going online. And the continuation of these sorts of things can only benefit the Northern Division due to its large geographical size. And so one of the things I propose to continue with is regular online meetings with the area directors, so that I can get a feel of what's happening in the within the division and give support to the area directors as they may need it. I also think the online facility gives us the opportunity to establish some online clubs in some more remote areas. So lots of small places in North Queensland and the Northern Territory that are way too small to sustain a Toastmasters club, but an online club could allow members in distant areas to enjoy the Toastmasters experience. So I originally joined Toastmasters in 1992, and I left in 96 to have a baby and then rejoined. And I've really enjoyed my Toastmasters experience and learnt a lot from it. I've travelled wildly throughout the Northern Division, and I can bring the role of Northern Division Director, my wide knowledge of the Toastmasters of the North. And I hope you'll give me the opportunity to take on the role of Northern Division Director. I joined Toastmasters in 1992, and then I had to stop because I was having a baby and it just wasn't appropriate. But I rejoined in 2002 because I'd learned that there was a lot I could obtain from being a member of Toastmasters. And I was also going to say that during my time in Toastmasters, I've travelled wildly and attended conferences in many parts of the Northern Division, including 2 conferences in Alice Springs and 1 in Darwin. And to get to one of the Alice Springs conferences, I had to travel from Mackay to Brisbane, Brisbane to Sydney, Sydney to Adelaide, and Adelaide to Alice Springs, a total of 12 hours flying hours. So I think that shows my commitment to the organisation, that I was prepared to go to those lengths to attend the conference in Alice Springs. I've also travelled widely across the Northern Division, Northern Territory and North Queensland by car, so I know it well.